Goodman, Brian Wilson, Mary Catherine Ham, today's newsmakers, and you, the Morning Majority. 108.9 FM, AM 630. WMAL.
Good morning. 7:07 on a Monday, a holiday Monday, but we are hard at work. And so is our legal expert, Joe DiGenova, because the law does not sleep.
That's right.
Good morning, Joe.
The law is a sleepwalker.
So, in the Solyndra updates that we keep having, what has really bugged me is this restructuring of the loan to favor the friends of Obama, who were the private lenders to Solyndra.
Right.
So they basically said, these guys will get money, they'll see money in the bankruptcy or what have you, way before taxpayers will, which is against the law, right?
That is correct. Congress passed a very specific statute to deal with bailouts and things like this, and it said that no one can put any other creditor ahead of the United States taxpayer if there is U.S. money involved. And what happened in Solyndra was the general counsel of the Department of the Treasury told people, remember this law, if you restructure any loans, you cannot displace the taxpayer. Well, the people at the Department of Energy ignored that warning. They restructured the loan. They put Mr. Fraser and his friends ahead of everybody else, including the taxpayer. And by doing so, they violated federal law, and because of something called the Anti-Deficiency Act, which all of us are aware of when we have government shutdowns, that money was spent illegally to restructure that loan, and therefore the people who authorized that decision to restructure the loan are personally liable for the government expenditure if it occurs.
Wow. You think they got $537 million laying around?
I can tell you this matter is not going to go away easily. The bankruptcy proceedings are going to become page one stories.
Question, was the warning to Department of Energy from Treasury Department not to restructure in this way, was that a personal warning, like in the matter of this particular case?
Yes, we haven't been allowed to find out about the specific memos, but from the information that has been published, it appears that the Treasury General Counsel issued a specific either email or letter warning them that the restructuring of these loans to put taxpayers basically last was illegal.
So is there any chance of getting that money back, a clawback or anything like that?
Well, what will happen is, what could happen is that a bankruptcy judge, based on obviously legal argument, could rule that the action to place the investors first is illegal, and he or she will not recognize their place in the chain of creditors. That is how this is more likely to be resolved, that the bankruptcy judge will say, Mr. Fraser and his friends, you lose because you were put here illegally.
All right, Joe, Fast and Furious, the other scandal of the Obama administration. We now know that 100 assault weapons from the Fast and Furious program were transported from Phoenix to El Paso. 40 of them made their way into the arsenal of a drug cartel enforcer by the name of Jose Arturo Torres Marufo, also known as the Jaguar.
Okay.
And we now know that apparently Eric Holder, the Attorney General of the United States, will be subpoenaed by the House of Representatives. What do you think about this latest? Is this a scandal that's going to also haunt the Obama administration going forward?
Well, it appears that it will, and the facts are so scary is the best way to put it. We can call it a scandal, but it's more than anything else, it's scary. I think the thing that is telling is that the United States Attorney in Phoenix, Arizona, was fired by the Obama administration. Now, I'm going to tell you something. If George Bush had fired a United States Attorney the way these guys fired him, do you know what would have happened? There would have been congressional hearings. The only reason that isn't happening is that people now realize that the U.S. Attorney should have been fired in Arizona. What remains to be seen is who was actually managing and ordering the shipment of the guns. It looks like the U.S. Attorney in Phoenix, Arizona, and believe me, I've had legal work in Arizona, and let me tell you something. It is the Wild West and Screwballville. I've never seen such weird law practice, even in federal courts, as I've seen in Arizona. I've been unimpressed by the U.S. attorneys in the Bush administration and the U.S. attorneys in the Obama administration out there. I don't know where they find these people, but I venture to say that before people start hanging Eric Holder, I'm not sure the facts are going to catch Eric Holder. I think the facts at this point are catching the United States attorney who's been fired. Now, I want to hear his testimony. if the Republicans in the House want to do something that's going to shake this thing up, bring that guy in.
But there were memos going from
Brian, here's the thing.
right to the Attorney General's office.
When you're the Attorney General of the United States, millions of things come into your office. I've been there. I know what happens in the front office. I'm not saying he didn't know. I'm just saying right now we don't know that Eric knew, and he has denied it. But I can tell you this. If it's proven that he did know somehow, then obviously that's big trouble.
But I'm told that each Attorney General has a number of counselors on staff,
right.
and each counselor has an area of responsibility. So there is someone there who was supposed to monitor this and be apprised of what was going on, and then bring it to the attention of the Attorney General.
That's absolutely correct, and I'm quite sure we're going to find out exactly what happened. But I'm telling you, as somebody who's conducted congressional hearings and likes to really show how issues can explode and also prove facts, get the fired United States attorney from Phoenix in there, and this thing will blow up overnight.
Okay.
There's been some talk of a special prosecutor. First of all, how is a special prosecutor actually appointed?
Well, there's no statute anymore. You know, there used to be an independent counsel. I was actually appointed by the United States Court of Appeals here to be an independent counsel in the search of the Clinton passport file. You may remember that.
I do remember that.
Way back in the 90s. Right now, because the statute was allowed to expire, that was a bipartisan desire to get rid of an awful statute. The only way a special counsel can be appointed now is by the Attorney General or the President ordering the appointment of a special counsel under Justice Department regulations. They have very specific regulations. Patrick Fitzgerald, for example, who investigated Scooter Libby in one of the grossest displays of prosecutorial misconduct in history, was appointed under those regulations. Let's hope if they do it this time, it'll be done correctly. But I don't see it happening because there's no political compulsion at this point to force the hand of either the Attorney General or the President.
Do you think one is needed, though?
I think if I were the AG, I would want something like this out of my bailiwick, and I would give it to somebody I trusted to do, even somebody from outside the government, someone who had a prosecutorial background, who knew how to exercise prosecutorial discretion. But as I said, if the Republicans want to force their hand, get that fired U.S. attorney up there, and this thing is over.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
All right, last question. This is completely off of the Obama beat, and that is a case in Virginia where a woman, a nurse, on call, has a pager and her cell phone, and was getting calls on a regular basis on this particular day, is driving, checks her phone because she believes she's getting paged by the hospital, looks at the phone, drives off the road, gets into an accident, and wants workers' compensation for this. It goes to court, and the Virginia Court of Appeals affirmed the case, reaffirmed that she gets $4,000 for workers' compensation. What do you think of this case?
Workers' compensation is a creature of state law. These laws exist all over the United States, and the legislatures can change the law any way they want. But this case still has one more step to go, and that's the Virginia Supreme Court. This is an intermediate court of appeals, and the Supreme Court of Virginia could review this and say, you know what, we don't think the workers' compensation law covers this. Although I'll tell you this. She was on call, which means she is on duty. And the issue of whether or not your negligence contributes to something is all taken into account in these state laws. Believe me, the minutia that these statutes get into with their regulations, you would not want to practice law in this area. I mean, it'll put you to sleep. But the bottom line is, one more step left, and this case may not survive.
All right, Joe. Good to talk to you as always. Appreciate it.